So when I went to high school, I used to think that wouldn't it be nice if everybody would get along and then we can accomplish so much if everybody would collaborate. And then that didn't happen. And then I went to university. And when I was in university, I remember being one of the people that sort of tried to get people to collaborate in my class. And I realized that wasn't going to happen. And then I got into academia. And I thought, hey, wouldn't it be really great if everybody was going to collaborate and get along? And then I realized, wait a minute, every one of these transactions that I've gone through, they've all been under the assumption that I believe people are fundamentally good, that they want to collaborate. But now I start thinking about things in a slightly different way. And what I view most people is that we're all kind of broken people and we're deeply insecure about all number of different things. And the reason we do things is not necessarily because we want to get along with other people. It's because we are trying to complete something inside as a broken person that we can never complete. And so this allows us, or this encourages us to do things that are not necessarily positive. And so I think about all of the transactions and things that I've gone through in the academic game where I've thought about, why did that happen? Why was that relationship? Why didn't it work out? And, on the surface, it's like, okay, that person is a bad person or whatever, bad apple. But then I take a deeper look and I really think about, like, wait a minute, these folks are there's something going on deep down inside that is difficult to deal with. And they're struggling just as if I am struggling. I project my things in a different way. I want everybody to like me. That's my big sort of faux pas. I want everybody to like me, and I think that's deep down it was because that I was a very lonely child growing up. I didn't have we had a big family, but I didn't have a lot of friends that were around. I remember being lonely a lot of times. There was a moment where there was really nobody in my formative years when I was an early teenager. I remember just being alone. And then I sort of was like, okay, I just want people to love me. So I want them to, I sort of want people to collaborate and, just do better as a group. But now that I've grown older, I've realized that does not happen. And so I look around, the career in academia, for example, or in research careers, and I just see a bunch of broken people. I see people that are trying to compensate for things that have happened to them in the past. And so they do things that are not necessarily better for themselves or society, but they do things that they believe will actually get them to some sort of transactional ends. And I've grown and I've developed as a person where I've become more of a therapist in my mind and dealing with the outside world than I'd ever believed that I would be. That I think about the world as a bunch of broken people, and we're all trying to struggle and figure things out. And much of the transactions that go through are because people are viewing them as a transaction. And the ones that sort of fall apart are the ones that people view it as a transaction whenever they interrelate with other people. And as I've gotten older, I've realized if I actually want to have meaningful, good relationships, I can't view things as a transaction. I have to view it as non-transactional, non-rational. And because of that, I have to, look at the world and realize that the rest of the world is everybody's walking around like they're 5 years old deep down inside, and they're broken people. We haven't really sort of matured. I mean, we're all maturing at different rates. And if you view the world in that sort of way, then what's going to happen is that, and especially if you're doing things in a non-transactional way, you'll realize like, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to get burnt a bunch of times. I'm going to have a lot of poor relationships that happen, things that just don't work out. And so I can either deal with that, or I can sort of compartmentalize these two particular things. So I tend to view the world as non-transactional in the sense that things that have benefited me the most have been non-transactional, and they've been things that actually add value to me. But what I need to sort of step back and sort of compartmentalize are the things where people want to do transactional relationships. And those are red flags to me. And that's where I have to compartmentalize these things and say, hey, if anybody wants a transactional relationship, that's a red flag, because that means that they're broken inside and they're trying to take advantage of you as a person. And so you have to be careful whenever you see those sort of transactional relationships that happen, and know that that's not actually a person that is built on solid ground. I know that I'm stumbling with my words at this moment because it's very difficult to sort of communicate this, in the sense that if you want to do well and you want to sort of understand what's going on, you view the world as a bunch of broken people. We're all a bunch of broken people deep down inside. And then you look for people that are not trying to compensate for some of these things, right? So I look around and you could see some obvious things that happen, right? So you look at, the cars that people drive. There's no reason for people to have a big monstrous car, or ones that have all sorts of luxury stuff on it, or a super fast car. They all do the same thing. They serve the same function. And so that kind of thing is a cue that people are compensating for things that are going on in themselves, that are just a lot of torment and brokenness that happens. And finding people that are not compensating for something in a certain area and dealing with all that inner torment is difficult. So what you have to do is look for those relationships where they're non-transactional and find those people. But that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And what's going to happen is you're going to get burnt along the way as you're going through this. But when you get burnt, realize that it's because it wasn't because of you. It's never because of you, right? Like, I know that sounds really stupid to say, and it could be taken out of context, but it's because people are broken inside, and they are processing things that they can't deal with, and so they take it out on you. They're transactional. They do things that are advantaging them at the cost of you as an individual. So, long story short, we're all broken and we're all dealing with things, but look for people that are more complete inside. They might not necessarily be easy to find, but just look for those people. And then if something happens to you that is not nice, realize that those people that are on the other side are really just broken people. And if you view that, you kind of change your perspective. You become more empathetic, and you realize, like, hey, I'm not going to deal with that anymore. But they were processing things in such a dysfunctional way that they couldn't see it themselves either. So just get out there, find good people, and try not to take out your brokenness that we all have onto other people. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.